and there are hundreds and thousands of people around the country that have a stutter and that live with and try to deal with a stutter. And it can be very debilitating in life. As part of Stuttering Awareness Day, an invitation has been sent officially to President Joe Biden, the POTUS, to come to Cork and visit Cork. And it is sent in conjunction with Stuttering Awareness Day. I've been talking to the co-founder of a group called Stuttering Awareness Mental Wellbeing Ireland, Corkman Jamie Googan. Jamie, I'll talk in a minute about the invitation you've extended to President Joe Biden to come to Cork. But with it being Stuttering Awareness Day, tell me your own story.
I suppose for almost 20 years, I lived with a stutter. When I was 3 years old, I fell and I hit my head and I ended up knocking out my front teeth. And I think it was that moment I developed a stutter. And growing up as a stutterer is always very, very difficult to express yourself the way that you want to, because you cannot say your name, you cannot say where you're from, you can go into a shop and you cannot order what you want. So it is very, very difficult. And I think that there was 2 moments in my life where it had a significant impact on me. And the very first moment was my first day in secondary school, and it was the assembly. And with that assembly, there was 97 people in the room, and they all had to say their names and where they're from, their hobbies and interests. And I was the third last person, but I knew I was going to stutter. And when it came to me, I stuttered badly, and I think that was the first experience that I had where an entire room laughed. And that experience stayed with me. And the second one then was when I went to CIT, which is now MTU, and I had to deliver my very first presentation. And the presentation was supposed to last 15 minutes, but with that presentation, I could not get past the first slide, and I couldn't say my name and I couldn't introduce what I was about to talk about. But I left that room with a lot of shame and guilt and embarrassment, and I ended up going into isolation. So I went through a very dark period then, and I locked myself away for 3 days, and I had some very bad thoughts in my mind. But on day 3, I picked up the phone and I reached out and I asked for help, and I received that help from Michael O'Shea, who is involved in this campaign with me alongside Michael Ryan also. And I spent a lot of time with Michael O'Shea, and together we found a pathway out of my stuttering.
Now, you've just been speaking to me there for a little over 2 minutes, and to my untrained ear, there's no evidence of a stutter. So are you using a technique right now, Jamie?
Over the last 8 years, I was led to believe that I could overcome it, and only with real hard work and putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. I think it was then that I was able to break free from my mindset, my stuttering mindset, and I could deliver these wonderful speeches and everything at MTU. But it does take time, and it takes a lot of hard work, retraining your mind and retraining how to speak all over again.
Right. Talk to me about the invitation to President Biden. Why do you want to invite him to Cork?
No, as people who stutter, we all learn and develop from each other. And we came together, myself, Michael Ryan, Michael O'Shea, and a wonderful presenter in Con Hurley. And we came together to create a positive impact within the Irish stuttering community. And if you want to create a positive impact, you go straight to the very top of the spear. And sitting there is the President, Joe Biden. And he is the only world leader that can create an impact with 50,000 people in Ireland. He is the only one. And as people who stutter, and we all learn and develop from each other, and I listen a lot to the President, and I listen to a lot of his speeches. And the President will always talk about his love of Ireland and his Irish roots. And he'd also frequently speak about how he himself had overcome his stuttering. He spoke about this as President-elect. He did a town hall with Anderson Cooper, who is the CNN correspondent, yes. And the President spoke about confidence and public speaking and how he himself overcome his stuttering. But he's also speak about his love of Irish poetry, because as a young man, the President would look in the mirror and he'd read the poetry of Yeats, and he'd read the book of Emerson quotes. And that was his way of improving his speech patterns, gaining confidence, and eventually overcoming his own challenges with stuttering. And we see this a lot where he is the guest of honor for the American Institute of Stuttering, and he reaches out to young children and he says to them, do not let this define you, and that you can dream big and that you can achieve anything that you want to.
He has said, at least, that he wants to come to Ireland. He told the Taoiseach that on St. Patrick's Day. Is it in conjunction with that you want to try and bring him to Cork?
Yes, we want to hopefully bring him to Cork, and I think it's wonderful that our campaign has managed to combine a city and county, and we're all united in this. And with the invitation to sign by the leadership of Munster Technological University, University College Cork, An Garda Síochána, Cork City Council, Cork County Council, and we've joined the leadership of these organisations together to bring the President, Joe Biden, to Cork and to speak on stuttering and to reach out to those 50,000 people who are struggling with this on a daily basis.
Yeah, and therein comes the mental well-being side of it. You explained yourself how you had your dark times. I imagine trying to live with a stutter can be extremely difficult and challenging at times.
It is very, very difficult because you can't express yourself that the way you want to. And growing up as a child, I always had to introduce myself using my older brother's name, Ross. And that was one of my coping mechanisms to deal with stuttering. And
do you mind me asking why that was?
I could say my brother's name fluently, and I would not stutter on his name.
Right.
Where if I said my own name, I would never have been able to say it. And saying your own name, a lot of people think that it is one of the most easiest things to do, but for people who stutter, that is a really big challenge for them.
Crikey.
And even to just maybe go into a fast food restaurant and order a takeaway. I used to have to write my order down on a piece of paper and hand it to the person behind the counter, because I wouldn't have been able to say what I wanted, and I would have really embarrassed myself.
Oh my goodness. And that, of course, leads to mental health worries and anxiety and all of that. Jamie, I really wish you well with this. Apart from anything else, I'd love to see President Biden coming to Cork, but he'd be coming for a really good cause, as it were. So I wish you well. And again, I imagine that doing an interview for radio is a challenge when you have a stutter. You've done extraordinarily well today, and thank you.
Thank you very much, PJ, and thank you for allowing me on your show today.
That's Jamie from Stuttering Awareness Mental Wellbeing Ireland. If you Google it, you get all their contact details. And he, as he told me, from 3, he had a little accident when he was 3 and developed a stutter as a result. But now, in whatever age he is now, he's dealing with it. And boy, is he dealing with it. That's super. Thank you, Jamie. 0818 96 96 96. When we were kids and through our teens, we had a close friend who had a stutter. The main thing we knew was to never finish his sentences for him when he stuttered in conversation. His confidence with us was that he knew we chatted away with him and would wait for him when he was caught on certain words. Today, he's very confident. That's from Mick, who's at work in Ovens. Yeah, I spoke to another woman about stuttering last year. I think Claire was her name. She was based in Dublin. And I put that question to her because we had a colleague here at 96 FM one time who had a stutter. And we were good friends. We used to go for a pint together. But we'd be discussing something. They'd talk about match or talking about politics or whatever. And he would get to the end of a sentence and the word just wouldn't come. And I finished his sentence for him one night, thinking I was helping. And he looks at me and he goes, if you ever do that again, you'll end up wearing your Guinness. It's not the thing you do. You might think you're helping, but you're not. And the same, that woman Claire said to me as well last year. You might think you're helping, but you're not. What you're saying to the person is, I can't be bothered waiting for you. Get on with it. So if that's one thing you learn about stuttering, if you've someone who has a stutter of any kind, never, ever, ever finish their sentence or never, ever, ever speak the word you know they're trying to speak. It's a lesson to learn.
The Samsung Galaxy S21 FE has arrived at Vodafone with a huge 6.4-inch dynamic AMOLED display, 3 pro-grade rear cameras and a colossal battery with super fast charging. Get the S21 FE for free when you switch to Vodafone Bill Pay and trade in your old phone. Call in store today. Offer subject to customers switching to Vodafone Bill Pay on a 24-month Red Unlimited Light contract and trading in a handset worth €100 or more. See Vodafone.ie for terms.
Can we just talk? The Opinion Line on Corks 96 FM.
With the Cork City Marathon. Take on your next challenge this June by running solo or with a team. Register at corkcitymarathon.ie.
Access all areas on Corks 96 FM.